The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If on the other hand you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Bork. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Friday, 8th day of March, 2019. So glad to have you with us. If you're returning, welcome back. If you're here for the very first time, a special welcome to you. We are certainly glad to have you. I have a chart up of the S&P 500 Emini Futures. If you can't see it, go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right-hand side, click the big microphone, follow the instructions, and you will be registered all the way through until it doesn't work anymore. Fair enough. So far it looks good. All right. Remember, you used to have to change every month. Those of you that have been around a long time, you had to, yeah. Hopefully you don't ever have to do that again. And you still get an email an hour ahead of time, unless you opt out, that reminds you the show starts in an hour, so that you can be ready. Okay. Now, if you're out of the office, away from the desk, using a cell phone, you can't download the go-to software, and you still want to join the program, go to youtube.com/CFRN/live. There you will find a live, real-time simulcast during the show. And thanks to the good folks at YouTube for carrying the show. All right, what a day it's been, eh? Where do we start? A. Your daily chart. You know, I might be able to fix this. Stand by. If I roll this back to a 30, what I got? Okay, yeah. Okay. And there we go. This is the Sunday night Globex Open. This past Sunday night. Ran up. Hit our weekly trading zone at 28.17/18. Consolidated. And I went through all this with you yesterday, so I won't tarry here. Came down. Crossed two zones, back up to the zone, down to the zone, and then it was on like Donkey Kong. I heard somebody say, oh, that was me. And so we've been patiently anticipating and awaiting this to happen, and it's unfolding right in front of us. All right. This is our lowest weekly trading zone for this week. Normally on a Friday, I'd be telling you, well, by close of business today, I still expect price to close at or above 27.34. Not so much this week, only because of the huge big picture dynamic that we have going on, which I'll remind you of that again. Let me make this a daily. And remove drawing objects. There we go. Daily chart. Back in October we had a high, and then in November we had a lower high, and then in December we had yet another lower high. And so we've just been waiting for price to get back up into this area where we had resistance, 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 resistance. I might also add that we had right here support, 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 support. Does that mean price is going to go from here to here? Well, it's a little more complicated than that. But let's take a look. See what we got in place. Okay, so hopefully everyone, from what I just said, hopefully everyone understands that why we expected, anticipated, thought it would be the highest probability thing to happen when price hit this area was to react. It didn't mean price couldn't go through it. It could. It will at some point, because the indices always go higher over time. All right, so now we're going to grab our fib tool and go to this low that started on December 26th and drag it up to that little high right there. The day of the great bearish engulfing candle. Now remember that day I hammered on that bearish engulfing candle quite a bit. I tried to convey to everyone this is sort of a big deal. You don't get a lot of these, and it was a beauty. I've got it shrunk up a little bit now so you can't really see all of its majesty. I said this might be it. This might be where this thing gets started. Well, 3 days later, kind of looks like that. I also told you on the show and in the channel, Telegram channel, I said once this thing is underway, you're going to look back at it and you're going to go, oh my goodness, how did I miss that, or how did I not see that? Hopefully no one missed it. Hopefully you all saw it. But that's the way, hindsight's the perfect science and all that. Now, we said that first, whenever it starts, the shallowest possible retracement would be back to the to the BBC, Bull Bear Cross. And there it was. The next shallowest retracement would be at this 24% fib. Now this 24% fib has a couple things going for it. The fact that it is a 24% fib. You see this right here, this bearish cross? That's got mojo, a strong medicine. When we hit it, I think we'll catch a bounce. And that's really all it will be, is a bounce. And if we come back through the 24, then the high probability spot is this 38% fib retracement. Now, okay, support, 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 right? Support. It could hold for a while, it could not hold at all. Got to embrace the possibilities. You got to learn to look at the chart and see what's happening right here, right now. Because you might have been planning for weeks, and so you just knew it was going to unfold this way or that way, and you're literally blinded by your own thoughts. Who's been in a trade and slipped their stop and got into an ugly drawdown? I mean, the market would fall 5 points. And then you would get 2 ticks in the opposite direction, in the direction of your original trade. And somehow that's calming and soothing. You go, yeah, I knew it. Here we go. Now, how do markets work? Leg retrace, leg retrace. Whether they're rising or falling, leg retrace, leg retrace. So in this falling market that I'm talking about, where you slipped your stop or didn't use a stop, whatever the case, you're in a trade, you're underwater, you can't see all the evidence that tells you you're on the wrong side of this thing, because you bought your original story however you came across that story. Somebody said it on TV or the radio, or you hang out in some room, and that became your truth. Now that's their truth. You gotta go get your own truth. I teach you how to find truth. You should come hang out with us. All right, so this is going to come back, certainly looks like, to the 24. We talked yesterday about the Russell leading to the downside, and John even brought that up when he came on. As you can see, the Russell was at the Russell was there. Oh, this is daily. All right, well, that's fine. I can't see it so good. There we go. The Russell actually tapped the 24 yesterday. And so that 38, let me get this other set of fibs out of the way. Now, on the ES, we've already fallen from 28, well, 28.18 was our highest, was a weekly trading zone up there. Now, at the BBC, we dropped to 27.60. So that's about 60 points. 600 Dow points. If we continue on down to this 24% fib retracement, we'll be at basically 2,700. So from 2,800, we'll just call it, to 2,700. That's 100 S&P points. That's 1,000 Dow points. I believe that price pulling back to the 38 will keep this bull market healthy for some time to come. Notice here, we haven't pulled back to the VBC even once since this bullish cross back in January. And price is seeking out that 24. Should give us a bounce. We'll see what happens when we get there. If it gives us a bounce, that would be, in our opinion, a counter trend trade, and so I won't put out an alert on it. I might make you aware of it in case you want to trade it. The issue with counter trend trades is you don't have the wind at your back, and price doesn't always pull all the way back to the VBC. When it does, that becomes our highest probability trade setup we have, but sometimes it doesn't. So, all right, the Dow. Where are we in the Dow? Okay, the Dow, we're almost to that 24. See, all of them have hit the BBC. Now we're working on the 24. Here's the NQ. And the NQ's just been right off of that thing all day. Now, notice on the NQ, bullish cross, leg, retrace back to the BBC. Leg, retrace back to the BBC. And then it got running. Here's those three highs that we saw on the S&P. On the S&P, they're a lot closer together, and it was a lot easier to spot the area where they should come together. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, or boom, boom, boom. All right, so that's kind of where we are in the bigger picture. It is always good to see things come together. All we've talked about for the last couple of weeks in regards to this is what we believe to be the highest probability thing to happen next. Now, are we always right? No. I don't know anyone who's always right. But that doesn't...
You do.
But that
your wife is always right.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
The sooner we learn that,
for 36 years.
That's right.
That's a lot of. That must be a lot of pressure being right all the time, huh? Anyway, so our understanding of the market. Each day we have a narrative for the intraday market, or as soon as the session starts on each evening at 6 p.m. Eastern and runs, like today's Friday. The Friday session started last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. It will end this afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern. The Monday session will start Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. And so we have a narrative for each day. And it's not something we make up. We don't hire a staff of writers to create the narrative. I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but if you can grab a hold of it, and if you want to learn how to trade, I think it will truly help you. I view this as a newspaper. We read the newspaper to get the news. It tells us, what's going on. And I gave you an analogy yesterday that I decided later was kind of weak, so I'm not going to repeat it again. But when I give you my narrative, all right, those of you that are in the channel or in the training room or in a workshop, whether it's the intraday narrative, the session narrative, or a bigger picture, like I've been giving everybody here on the radio show for the last few weeks, it's not something I figured out, so to speak. If you read a newspaper, you can probably tell, today's newspaper, you can probably tell me a lot of important things that are happening in the world today. You didn't make them happen. In fact, you play no part in them happening. But you read it and you repeated it. That's all I do. I read the chart and I repeat it. Yes, some people use that to make themselves look awfully clever, but I really try not to, because one of Michael and mine's goal is to demystify the markets. because they sure are shrouded in a whole lot of mystery, and it can cost you a whole lot of money to try to unravel it, and you're still left with a ball of string. So what I want to do is I want to teach you to read the market in the same way that I read it. Now, because you might have some market truths that I don't have, and some of my market truths may not have become your market truth when you vetted them, and that's okay. So if I teach you how to read the chart like a newspaper, does that mean you and I will always spit out the same narrative at the end of the day? Probably not. But I'll tell you what, having a discussion group like we have in Telegram, where the guys can ask me, you know, all right, what did the paper say today? I love saying, well, you tell me. I want to see where they are on the path to understanding. I mean, certain things, they're not subjective, okay? On this day, right here, 28, 24, 25 was the high of that session. There's no debating it. There's no arguing it. It just is. So you don't have to spend a whole lot of time working that one, right? Some things are subjective, some things are not. This was the high of the session. This was the low before this huge rally we've been on for 10, 11 weeks. Was 23.1675. That's an immutable, undisputable fact. Right, Michael?
That is right.
Okay.
Undisputed.
Now, when I tell you price always reverts to the mean, in our methodology, the VVC is the mean, is that disputable? No, it's not. No, it's not, because it does. We just proved it. It does, you know. And sometimes it'll slice through it. In fact, we should look at that. Okay, this is yesterday. It looks like all the market did yesterday was fall. But, as you recall, I said, when the market gets down into this 2767 area, I believe the market will catch a good bounce up to the zone, confirm it as good resistance, continue its journey down. I did go on to say, in the event, you know, the buyers really poured on heavy, we might get back to that 91, 92 sticky area from the last couple of weeks. But that wasn't the high probability thing. This was the high probability thing. The bounce itself was the high probability thing. Why? I'll show you again. I showed you yesterday. Let me show you again. Okay, you see these tops? That's resistance. See these bottoms? That's support. Okay. So if I come along here, 2776. Okay, so if I believe, so it was resistance, resistance, support, support, I have to expect it to be support until it isn't. Now, if it is going to play out as support the way I thought it was yesterday, where is the reasonable place for it to bounce to? Well, if you've been around here any length of time, you know, it's right there at the zone. That's the highest, but see, the highest probability thing doesn't always happen. Now, I've instructed the guys, the passport holders, partners, and the people in the channel, if you determine your narrative, like that was my narrative, right? Okay, I said I believe the highest probability thing is when price gets to 2767 area, catch a bounce up to the zone. get rejected, continue on our way down. What if that hadn't happened? See, that was my narrative. That's how I understood the market. That looked to me, just looked like a done deal, but it's never a done deal until the lady sings or the check clears the bank and all that jazz. Okay? What if this hadn't happened? What if, let's say it just pulled up to the BBC and then took out this low. Okay, well then that tells me buyers have stepped aside. They've had enough pain on the way down, and they're just going to let this thing bottom out wherever that place is. So they step aside. That's if it got deflected by the BBC, but it didn't. It pushed through, hit the zone, then went down. All right. Now, if I understand that, could I participate in a failed narrative? Yes, because I immediately have a new narrative. If price couldn't get through the BBC, sellers have far more strength at the moment than the buyers do. I have to recognize and respect that, and I want to go with whoever's driving the bus. In the beginning, you'll probably only have, as I teach you to read the chart, you'll probably only have one narrative. And I'm real firm about this. If the market does something that you do not understand, did not anticipate, it did not appear to be the next high probability thing, back away from the mouse. Don't go chasing it just because it looks good. No. Looks are deceiving. Just back away, let it play out until it begins to behave in a manner that you do understand. I don't want that to sound nebulous or mysterious or confusing. I want it to be as plain as the black and white on the daily newspaper. You know? All right, so now where are we? We hit the zone. I thought we'd get a whale of a bounce at the zone. So see, my narrative did not play out there. Yeah, we hit that 30, 34, 35. Just get a killer bounce. But we didn't. Did that cause me any concern? No, because I wasn't in that trade. It never started to bounce. Price would have had to get on the other side of the BBC and the other side at this point. See, I thought it would have probably bounced here. Now, there actually was. I shouldn't sell myself so short. I'm 5'11". I'm 5'9". Whatever. Yeah, we hit it here. Oh, that's kind of a hit right there. So that low was 27.36, right? And then we bounced up to 27.42. I mean, so was there enough movement there to put some cheese on your macaroni? Yes, there was. But it wasn't the type of bounce that I thought we might see. And that doesn't bother me, it doesn't hurt my feelings, it doesn't make me doubt my ability to read the chart anymore. I just know that this is a business based on probabilities. And sometimes what I believe to be the highest probability thing doesn't come to pass. Now, this particular move, when we fell through that zone right there, bang, and then we pulled back up to the zone and the BBC, I immediately know what the high probability thing is here. It just happened. First step's to trade back down to the CFMA1, close on the other side of the CFMA1, challenge these lows, and then head on down to that 38% Fibonacci retracement. Now the swing, it wasn't really a swing trade. It was just it's a bigger target trade than, I don't put them out every day, let me say that. And that was forced to be short, all the passport holders, 27.55 to 27.40. 25.35. And the first time we came down through 27.55, we put in a low at 41.75. Not bad. But you know, important prices and important areas are almost always tested. So what did price do? When I saw it moving up, I was like, moving on up. It's reverting to the mean. It's going back to the BBC. And then the BBC gave us a down close. Woohoo. There you go. Leg and a retracement. And a leg. And then right here we actually touch the BBC. See, this one didn't touch it, but this one did. And there we go. Does anybody have any questions on any of that? I've spent the last hang on, I got to take my shoes off so I can count this up. 18 years learning what I just shared with you. Interestingly, much of it has come, you know, in the past decade. A lot of confusion early on. Michael and I want to spare you, whoever you are, the grief, the misery, the expense, and the years that it takes to come up with a definable edge, understand that it's a business based on probabilities. It doesn't, I don't care how many seminars you go to, I don't care how many indicators you buy, how many gurus you hire, you're never gonna make it what it isn't. I just knew when I got my first 10,000 hours of screen time, because they say, there's a saying, maybe you don't know the saying, that if you want to be an expert at something, you need to put in 10,000 hours of doing it. And that's a lot of time. I was as lost at 10,000 hours as I was at hour one, because I was looking at it wrong. See, I had to back up, and just like Cool Hand Luke, I had to get my mind right. And ultimately, you're going to have to get your mind right. Now, we had a bearish cross right there. There's no long trades here. Here's that head fake I was talking about from yesterday. Okay, we popped up to the zone, and we got a little tiny bullish cross there. But as we crossed, price is pulling back. It never pulled away. Right there, that's enough to tell me, yeah, head fake. You see, we pulled away from the BBC before the cross. The pull away has to come after the cross. Before don't count. Leg retrace to the BBC. Leg retrace. Now, I know when I talk about it like this and show you the chart, I make it all seem so very easy, but it's not. It can be simple. And when you learn to accept the fact that it is a business based on probabilities, you don't freak out when you get stopped out. Because accepting that it's a business based on probabilities, well, that means you're going to get stopped out some of the time. I know some people get stopped out every time to the tick, whatever that means. And I'd like to buy your system from you, because that's 100% accuracy. I'll just trade it backwards. That's when people usually go, well, not every time. Okay. All right. I don't see any questions, so I'm going to move on. I got one little bit of news. We have a crypto presidential candidate. Andrew Yang's campaign to become U.S. president in 2020 is gaining traction. In recent weeks, the Democratic candidate has garnered attention from mainstream media as well as on internet message boards, whose anonymous posters still credit themselves with memeing Trump into power. The tech-savvy Yang, who advocates a $1,000 per month universal income, has been talking crypto for years, He first tweeted about Bitcoin in 2013, and then in 2018 he began accepting campaign donations in cryptocurrency, which he described as huge news. Supporters can pledge up to $2,500 in crypto with BTC, ETH, ERC20 tokens. They're all accepted. Last year, Lang Gang also said that crypto and blockchain technology have massive potential to create a more transparent society. A smart government would embrace this and work with it. Yang says that's what he wants to do. As Yang's campaign has gained momentum in recent weeks, a number of well-known cryptocurrency supporters have pledged their support for the 44-year-old whose business venture background made him likely to smile kindly upon digital assets should he take office. I know nothing about this guy. I'm not a registered Democrat, so I won't be voting for him. But it's interesting to see we have a candidate in there in the mix, you know, who does understand that it's not about believing it anymore. It already is. That's why I do the little bit of news every day. It's a government, it's a corporation, it's a store, it's a society. I mean, all right. Let's go to the numbers. These are cash markets from around the world. Oh, it's Dr. Tom Day. I forgot to say that because he wasn't with us yesterday, so he's going to come on today. And I got to get to John before and then Michael's got to do his thing. I should just shut up. But I'll run through them real quick. Okay. The Dow's currently down 234 points. Oh, let me refresh that. How about 160 points? NASDAQ is down 57. S&P 500 is down 21. The Russell is down 6. In the commodity basket, crude oil lost $1.41 so far today, trading $55.25 last. Gold gained $12.50, trading $12.9860 last. Now, someone in the channel this morning asked me, okay, you've explained to us really well what's happening with the indices and why they're going lower, but why is gold rallying? And my answer there was simply, when equities fall, people tend to take their money out of stocks, and it's called a flight to quality, and they put it in gold. Is that your understanding, Michael?
It is.
Stock market falls, gold rises.
Yeah, usually gold and the euro, because if they're taking their money out of U.S. equities, they might be putting them in foreign equities. That's
possible. Now, in the Asian markets, the Nikkei closed the session down 430 points. That's 2%. Shanghai down 135. That's 4% for the Shanghai. Hang Seng closed the session down 551 points. That's 2%. In European markets, the FTSE lost 53 points, the DAX lost 59, and the CAC lost 36. It was a red day in Asia, a red day in Europe, and a red day here in the US of A. Red day? Okay. But see, we're futures traders. We love a red day. We got no problem. See, when price is below the BBC, we know we just got to keep getting short. And when price is above it, it's got to be long. I know that sounds pretty easy, but it's not. But it can be simple. So, all right, Michael, it's all yours.
Okay, I will take it. And showing my discovery. There it is. I think
Elizabeth Warren pushes to break up big tech companies like Amazon and Facebook. Man, these people are starting to scare me. I love them because I'm a Christian, but I never did like them. But now they're starting to worry me. I think they've gone beyond drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, they have.
And the Pied Piper has only been on the job 2 months. The one that's leading them all over the cliff. Oh my goodness.
What are you gonna do?
I would love to. I want to learn more about her as a child in high school. You know, was she on the yearbook staff? Was she the class president? I mean, she didn't just all of a sudden catch fire, you know, in the last few months or something. I'm sure she's been an overachiever most of her life. I just want to know if she's been a nut all of her life. That's what I want.
Yeah, probably. Probably.
All right, buddy, take it away.
All right, here we go. I'll do this fairly quickly. We had 10 trades today. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. It's Friday, the 8th day of March, 2019. Yeah. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today we made 1 tick in the euro, 4 ticks in crude, 16 ticks in gold, and we're break even on the ES. That put us at $206.25 on the morning. Today it took 16 minutes and 2 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $100 a contract, and we took a total of 10 trades. On the month now, we're at $961. That's over 6 days, averaging $160 per day. And then you get down here. On the year now, we're at $5,060. That's over 43 days, averaging $117 per day. Now, again, that is 1 contract, 2 hours per day. See in this little column over here, I put if you add 1 contract per month. And the first month was 2,031. Then 2 contracts with what we made in the second month, 6,166, and 3 contracts where we are right now, 9,050. Now that is if you did everything exactly the same as I did. Okay. If you've not taken a free trial, go to the homepage at CFRN.net. Right over here in the right-hand column, it says 5-day free trial. Apply.CFRN.net. Click on that. Once you click that, you'll be brought to this page, where all we ask for is your email, your first name, how you found us. Hit the submit button. Once you hit that submit button, you will be sent a confirmation link. You will be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, we don't know you took the trial until you click that link. All right, I'll show you what we did, what we didn't do here today. In gold, this was our first trade in gold. We got 10 ticks out of that. Okay, 10 ticks out of that. The second trade, we got 5 ticks. Then over here, we had 1 tick. That was gold. So we had a good day with gold today compared to what it normally is. It's normally just really choppy like this lately. During the break, there was nothing to be done during the break. Possibly a long trade right here. That would have been a break even. Okay. And give me just a second. Okay, yeah, Valerie, you got to get rid of that headset. It sounded like a car racing. I just muted you. Yeah, I know. Okay, on the euro, there was a long opportunity right here that I missed. There was a long opportunity here that I got to break even on, and a long opportunity over here that I got 1 tick on. Okay, during the break, there was nothing. On crude oil, there was some good movement in the pre-market on crude. But once we got into it here, we shorted here, and I was saying that I thought it was going to get down to 54.77 at least, and it just kept going down once it started moving. But we ended up with a break even on it. Okay, I missed a trade here and a trade there, both which were winning trades. I picked up 1 tick here and 3 ticks there to give us +4 on the crude. Missed a trade there and a trade there and a trade there. So I missed 5 trades this morning on crude. Every one of them was a profitable trade, or a potentially profitable trade. Okay, neither one of them stopped out. None of them stopped out. Then during the break, let's see, during the break, the trend line would go like, you know what, I'm just going to draw the trend line. You know what, I don't think I would have done anything here anyway, because we weren't really trending. and the trend line would go like that, so you wouldn't have anything till way over here. So no, there was no trade in there, and it got really violently sideways right here, like Reed would say. You could have taken a momentum long trade right there, and that would have been it for the crude. All right, the ES, I had drawn this box in here this morning when it was jammed up inside this box. Hang on. You see right in there, it was all jammed up inside that box. Now we took one break-even trade here. It was a long trade. And we got a break-even on that. We missed a long trade there. Took another break-even trade here. And then it just went back inside the box. And I wasn't trading it when it was in the box. Then it came up to the weekly trading zone. And I couldn't do anything with that. Okay. And it was going right back into the box. So I left the ES alone all day. Other than those two break-even trades. We left it alone. Okay. Back here. If you've not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage at CFRN.net. In the right-hand column, it says 5-day free trial. Apply.CFRN.net. Click on that, and you will be brought to this page where all we ask for is your email, your first name, and how you found us. Hit the submit button, and you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link, okay? If you don't click the confirmation link, we don't know that you took the free trial. So click on that link. Okay? And let's see. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you can read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today, the 8th day of March 2019. We made 1 tick on the euro, 4 ticks on crude, and 16 ticks on gold. That put us at plus 206 1/4. Today, it took 16 minutes and 2 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $100 a contract, and we took a total of 10 trade opportunities today. So on the month now, we're up $961. That's over 6 days, averaging $160 per day. On the year now, we're at $5,060. That's over 43 days, averaging $117 per day. $117 per day. Okay? All right. And with that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park, where Dwayne is probably currently residing. Wow, it's 12:53 already. Whoosh. Whoosh. Dr. Tom is probably going to be coming in here any minute. And John is not out there right now. So if you're ready, Dwayne, you can take it back. And let me just unmute Valerie for a second. Okay.
You hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes. I muted you because your headset was just, it sounded like a car engine.
I'm just trying to find one that works here with this computer, and I think I'm good now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Dwayne, if you're ready, you can take it back. If not, I will look at the ES going down to the low of the day right here. Let's look at it on a bigger time frame. It came right back up, stalled out at the BBC and at the weekly trading zone, and now it's going down for new lows. That's what it looks like to me. Cycle starting to go down steep. Yes, that is a very bearish outcome. And all the way over there, British Columbia. Okay. That one was mine. I don't know if you guys heard that noise, the background noise. You're going to hear it again in a second. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody? Anybody anywhere? I don't see any questions popping up. Yeah. $7 grand. Yeah. My truck usually runs about 1,800, 2,000, but it's got an 8-speed transmission. Okay, I can do that. I can show some of the crude trades. Well, right now, we just put in a higher swing, so we have higher highs and higher lows here on crude right now. That's what we want to have. Okay, but the ones that we missed were over here. It was a close down below the trend line. Over here, it was a close below the trend line again, but it was also a close below the MA1. So again, what that means is you've met the requirement for moving your stop to break even at the entry point. That's a momentum trade. So you get your stop to break even as soon as you can. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I wouldn't have done anything over here in the crude because I would have been looking back here and said, you know what, we're sitting on top of dynamic support and we're not really in a strong trend. Then when it flipped around, it came all the way over here, and now the cycle is going down too steep to go long. Okay, the cycle is going down too steep to go long. And I'm guessing Dwayne's probably on the phone with Dr. Tom right now, or John, one of them. But that's what I would be looking at with the crude. Now, if you look at crude on a larger time frame, you see this right here? This failed attempt to go down. That's a little bit bullish. Now, I don't know if you remember on Wednesday, back here on Wednesday, and I'm trying to scroll back to Wednesday. Today is the 8th, so this is Wednesday. But back here on Wednesday, before the crude inventories came out, I had drawn this level up here, and I said, look for price to get back to that level. And it did later on that day and the next day. It went up above it the next day. Now it's dropped through it again. There's another level that I drew the week before that's farther down. But I would think right now this is looking a little bit bullish to me right here. And you know, we'll see if we start getting closes above the BBC here and we drag that MA1 up above the BBC on this larger time frame. Then I think that would be something worth looking at. Getting back up to this level here, this 56.50 level. Okay. Now, we have 1 minute and 22 seconds left in this bar. So you trade the YM on an 8-tick with a 16-tick stop. You're doing 5 contracts. Works fine. Any thoughts? If you need a filler, use me. Okay. No, I recommend the YM and the Russell, and even the NQ. You know, they're really fast markets for a 4-tick range bar. Okay, let me go and find one here. And remember to roll that over after today. Remember to roll that to the M contract. Okay. Yeah, here's the YM. This is the YM on a 4-tick range. Now, that's going to be moving around pretty quick normally. Okay, when the markets are active, that's going to be moving around pretty quick. But if you bump it up to an 8-tick range, or you know, Fuad uses a 6-tick range and has really good success with that. But if you bump it up to an 8-tick range and then you have a 16-tick stop, then you know, that would work as well. The gold, not for a while yet. Okay, the gold, we already rolled the gold to the J. I don't know when I'm going to roll it over. Wordsmith. There's a lot of those around lately. Dwayne was making up words yesterday. And he is oddly absent right now. But, yeah, on the 15-minute, you see, it wants to go down to the low of the day right here. The ES does. these two are usually going in the same direction, and right now the crude is going up. Okay, we just closed that last candle right there, and now we're already starting to move up on this one. So I think the ES probably wants to go down, tap the low of the day, put in a double bottom, and then probably go up from there, is what I'm thinking. I don't know, it's pretty bearish looking right there, though. On the YM with an 8-tick range, translate to for Ninja. An 8-tick range on Ninja, to get the indicators looking the same, I think the 8-tick range would translate to a 6-tick range, Tim. You know, I don't have an active Ninja account, but if you were to here, I'll bring up the YM again on an 8-tick range. There it is on an 8-tick range. Now, if you switch that to a 6-tick range, yours to a 6-tick range.
It's easy.
See if the indicators line up. I know. But do that and see if the indicators line up with mine. Okay, now that this is on an 8-tick. But that's just the stuff that's on the CME, right, Tim? It's the NQ, the YM, the Russell, the ES. Okay.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Did you already call for me?
Oh yeah, about 15 minutes ago.
Oh, come on.
No, it's okay. It's okay. They're asking questions.
Good. No, that's good.
That's good stuff.
Do you want me to take the charts now?
I just want to make sure, Tim, you're okay, right? Right now? I just want to make sure that you don't want me to show you anything else.
If there's anybody that wants Michael to show you anything
Okay.
while he's got the charts,
Yeah.
type it up.
Tim said he was good, and I went and looked at some larger time frames here. Like
Okay.
on Crude right now, closing up above the BBC, dragging the MA1 above it. The ES going down to the low of the day, or toward the low of the day. It should probably get down there, and then it'll probably bounce, but we'll have to wait and see. Okay, everybody's good.
Okay.
It's all yours.
All right, I'll grab the charts.
Okay, and I'm gonna roll my stuff right now.
Well, you know, we talked about it in depth last night, and then, but I didn't really put anything else out last night because everything was all, because nothing changed. There was nothing to put out because the narrative hadn't changed. It was just, we already said, you know, short here and trail. So that's kind of it. But I'll get it done. Let's see. Everybody roll to M.
Yep.
All the indices.
The euro though, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet on the euro, but all the indices can roll now. The euro will have to check on Sunday night. Okay.
Now, let me ask you guys a question. This is a trick question. I'll just tell you up front. What is the high probability thing to happen right here, right now? We bounced off the BBC and we've come back down to these lows. What's the high probability thing, audience? There isn't one. We expected to run back to the BBC. It did. We expected to attempt to put in another leg to the downside that would challenge these lows. It did. So now I would have to say that the high probability, if I was going to make something up, I'd say, well, the high probability thing is going to bounce back to the BBC, or it's going to take out these lows. See, there are times when the market, you just don't have enough information to truly understand what the high probability thing is. You might be able to list off 3 or 4 things that can happen, but what's the highest probability? See, right now, if we take out these lows or not, okay, I'll be honest, there's a part of me that figures we'll probably take them out. But I have to, when I find myself thinking those kind of thoughts, I have to go, stop. It's like when you have a price channel. When price gets to the middle of the channel, it's a 50-50 shot if it's going back to the bottom or up to the top. So if it goes back to the BBC, if that's what happens right here, then I can say the highest probability thing to happen next is to go back down to these lows, like we just did up here. Do it again. If it takes out these lows, let's say it went boop, boop, pull back up to the lows. What's the high probability thing there? To continue down to 2,700, which is the 38 or the 24% Fibonacci retracement. Because on the ES, we still haven't got there, but we're closer than we were. This is the daily chart. The Dow, we got there. Russell got there yesterday. The NQ still got a little ways to go. Okay, the Russell got there first. And I put this in the channel this morning. I said, now, do you think the Russell is going to sit and wait for the rest of the gang to catch up, or just keep cruising? I don't think there's any high probability for that either. It's just, it kind of makes sense that it waits, because they all move. Each one, S&P and the Dow walk hand in hand. The Russell and the NASDAQ, they have their own behavior, but ultimately they follow the leading and guidance of the S&P. The bellwether. Dr. Tom here?
No, not yet.
Okay. I talked to him yesterday.
John's here though. I can open up
okay, well, let's open John's mic.
he's not fully logged on yet. I don't think.
Okay.
There you go. I think he just got it.
Yeah, I talked to Dr. Tom yesterday, and I explained to him why today would be better than yesterday. Hey, John.
Hi there.
Today's Dr. Tom Day because we didn't do it yesterday, and so I'm thinking he'll pop in here at some point, but he hasn't yet. And
okay.
And because it's Friday, yeah, he might have spaced it. That's possible.
Okay.
So let's just. How you doing?
Not too bad, thanks. We actually did the same thing as the day before. We just sold after hours last night. Pretty much as soon as after hours, I just had to sell it if it went down, and as it started to, just the neat thing about new after hours is that the lows were hit right away because it rallied into the close, and when it didn't follow through, it gave us a pretty big clue that this thing is headed lower. There was a reasonable rally this morning, but it's fallen away. So the outlook is pretty bad. Look, it's not an 87 type scenario just yet, but we are, we're down yesterday, down again today. I actually haven't made any efforts to cover it this morning yet because we're starting to hit new lows now, and it's going to be hard for the market to rally this afternoon, I think.
I have no doubt, John, that we're going to this 24% retracement on the S&P. That's 2,700.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah.
Now,
and if you remember, we said, look, the left-hand shoulder of the so-called head and shoulders that's developing, reverse head and shoulders, is a pretty, extreme kind of a, you have to be prepared for this thing to go down 38%, and potentially turn up and maybe have a rally and then maybe another test, and then after that I think we could be off to the races. And we were pretty prescient on this show. You remember when there was a lot of talk about the Fed raising rates and that they were going to do another raise before the end of the year, which turned out to be sort of terminal, very bad. This guy Victor Sperandeo, he's well known. He thinks that was an unforgivable mistake by the Fed, and it really, between that and the QT that they were doing, was a sort of a terminal blow to the market in terms of creating the correction that you can see on the left-hand side of your chart, all the way down to 2340. The difference now is we could get a pullback. as we said yesterday or the day before, the economy in the first quarter is shaping up like it's probably going to be less than expected. You know, we've had the first quarter over the last number of years has been the weakest quarter almost every cycle. You know, and it's probably going to be the weakest quarter this time, especially after that, because this government shutdown, I think, is probably responsible for some of the unemployment numbers that came in. You know, people may have been less keen to hire. There may have been some people put out of work because the government shutdown had a kind of a ripple effect, and so that sort of explains it. The likelihood is it'll probably be revised upward maybe next month. But what it really does in the bigger scheme of things is what we said many months ago. We remember we said the Fed could start lowering rates by May, and at the time that was a pretty outlandish idea. But now that all this is happening, you can see that it's more likely to actually happen, more likely to take shape.
Well, this non-farm payroll number, what reason do you have any idea why that? I mean, that thing was a huge miss.
Yeah, it is, and I think it's a little bit of the after effect of the Fed raising rates.
Yeah,
and this QT thing, and it's a combination of the shutdown, which lasted a month and a half or so, and the peripheral effect of that. You know, the ripple effect of, because when the government shut down, there's all kinds of private contractors and people who were probably out of work as well. So that's where the unemployment numbers may be, that's what may be responsible for this shocker. And February is not normally it's a shorter month than all the other months as well. Yeah. So, but look, at least it wasn't negative.
Well, no, it was negative, John. The numbers read. It says
no, I get that. but it wasn't negative. It wasn't minor. You didn't lose any jobs. You know what I mean?
They forecast 181,000 new jobs, and we lost 20,000. If I'm reading this right, is that the right way to read that?
No, we didn't lose. No, we made 20,000. When I read that this morning,
is it red just because it didn't meet the forecast?
Exactly. And when I first saw that this morning, I said, my first thought was, wow, the employment, this record run in employment creation is over, but it's not actually. So
you got so many people out there talking about how much trouble the economy's in. It's going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Well, it blows my mind that they keep spewing this stuff when people are happy, they got jobs, they're working. I mean, I don't know. It's just concerning.
Anyway, the beneficiaries today of what we talked about yesterday might happen, and that's gold and silver are up.
Yeah, gold, nice pop today. Nice pop.
Yeah, lumber is also limited up. I think there was a very big positive number on the housing starts.
Frederick in the audience just added the biggest reason was weather.
Yeah, of course.
30,000 drop in construction jobs. Thank you, Frederick. That makes sense. It really does.
Yeah. So that's why the first quarter is always a problem.
And the House just decided they're going to let illegal immigrants, undocumented workers, vote.
Come on.
The House passed a bill this morning.
What?
Well, it's not going to get anywhere. But that just shows you how wrong-headed they've become and how desperate for a vote.
That's insane. That's why they're doing all this.
Who posted that?
Promising the world.
Somebody. Go ahead.
Promising the world to people, all this free stuff. It's probably a few people are going to, or quite a lot of people are going to fall for it. But I think that's why I say this thing is that's why the price of gold is up today. If things start to if this continues, the gold price could go a lot higher and maybe a lot quicker, because everybody, people are paying attention, know what happened in Venezuela, and if we start going anywhere in that direction, you can kiss the economy goodbye. So
Okay, here we go, John, right here. Oh, wait a minute. No. Oh, come on. Let me just go to the news. I misspelled House. House votes in favor. You see it on my screen?
Yeah.
1 hour ago. House votes in favor of illegal immigrant voting.
That's just insane.
I heard them talk about it the other night, and they were like, well, you know, they're here, and maybe they're not legal, but we want them to feel like they have a part in it. Well, but they shouldn't have a part in it. They don't. They,
you know, 3 years ago, it was so opposite to what it is right now. It's kind of hard to get your arm wrap around your head around. You know, when there was desperation in the economy back then, you know, they were talking about they were talking about mass deportations, and they were all the worry about that. You know, and now it's gone complete 180. So. You know, that's what if you remember, I said on the show years, you know, when Trump first got elected, smartest thing he could ever do is to, you know, have a system where, say if you've been in the country for 30 years and you're still undocumented, then you got 3 years to file, you know, to apply for resident, you know, for to you know, declare yourself, if you like, and become at least you know, recognized, if you like, and with a possible view to residency later on, not necessarily citizenship. If you've been 20 years, you got 2 years, 10 years, 1 year. That would have sort of staged it out so that the system wouldn't be overwhelmed with people registering. And then if you just came last year, you only got a month. So that would have, in a way, kind of, it certainly would have been very popular with the Hispanics, and probably got, you know, I'd say Trump would have a much higher rating today if he had done that, and they wouldn't be able to yell at him every day. You know,
this is just how idiotic this whole thing is.
Because the mass deportation thing is kind of like, you know, it doesn't look like it's looked like it's over, you know, apart from the criminals, and that's what Trump's been trying to do. Is, you know, he's basically, you know, I don't think he's been targeting just illegal, you know, undocumented people specifically.
Now,
or the ICE.
So how much time and how much taxpayer money did the House waste by passing this bill? Because it says right here, and it passed, John, 228 to 197.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it says right here, the measure would have had no practical effect, even if it had passed. I thought it did pass. Now they're confusing me.
What says it? Not legally. Just go back down to where it said. It said not legally. It wouldn't pass because
it says the measure would have no practical effect because illegal immigrants and indeed non-citizens as a whole are not legally able to participate in federal elections. But up here it says House Democrats voted Friday to defend localities that allow illegal immigrants to vote in their elections, turning back a GOP attempt to discourage the practice. I guess they're referring to like sanctuary cities or something?
Yeah, probably.
Now, when I went to vote the last time I voted, somehow I never leave without my wallet, and my driver's license is always in my wallet. But I got up early and I went to the polls, and the lady, she says, "I didn't see your ID." I'm like, open my wallet, and I'm like, come on, I've lived here forever. Don't you know me? She would not. I'm not going to make any comments about what political party she might have been a part of, but that's okay. I had to come all the way back home. Now, if I'm not mistaken, these people who are illegal immigrants that they allow to vote in some of these local elections, do they have to have a voter registration card? Do they have to have ID? I know this has been a big thing, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. I just don't have time to pay attention to everything, you know. Especially stuff I have no control over. We are prepared to open up the political process and let all the people come in. John Lewis, a Georgia Democrat, hero of the civil rights movement. We are prepared to open up the political process and let all the people come in. Wow. Did they not learn anything from Germany, from Sweden? Yes, you want to help the disadvantaged and the disenfranchised, but you better be careful, because pretty soon they might be up there living in your house and sleeping with your wife. That's exactly what happened in Switzerland. They took these immigrants that were pouring in from the borders, wherever it was from. They took over national monuments, like castles where people go and tour. They just moved in and started living there. And I guess the Swiss are just too nice to toss them. But Germany realized they'd made a mistake and they freaked out. Well, the UK knows they've made. Are there more Muslims in the UK now than there are old white men?
I don't think it's quite there yet, but it's.
But it's pretty close, right?
I don't know about that. I think
okay.
It's. Yeah.
Well, it's worrisome. How about that? Will you agree with me on it? It's worrisome?
Sure. There's a lot in France. I mean, France is a different ballgame.
Here's what concerns me about the UK. Those people don't go to church. I mean, some of them do. And when we went there, we attended. Where were we? Oh, we were in Ireland, I think. When what is it? Is it the Church of England? Is that what it's called? It's an
they do have Church of it. Yeah, the Anglican. Yeah, they have those in Ireland.
Yeah, you know, gosh, this church was so old. I mean, it was probably built in like the 1500s. And there wasn't an official service going on. My wife and I just went in there. We just wanted to sit, spend time with each other, God, pray, and just the atmosphere, the feeling. I mean, the church I used to own downtown, the historic church, it was built in 2 years before Arizona became a state. And I thought that was history. But wow, when you stand in one of those old churches in Ireland and other places that was built in the 1300s, 1500s, I mean, that's a lot of history. And but as we traveled about in Europe and in Ireland, we didn't see a lot of active churches. And I got to talking to some of the people who lived there, and it's not a thing like it is in the U.S. Last survey that Pew did, I forget how many people, even though they don't go to church on Sunday, they consider themselves, they identify as a Christian. But 45% of those surveyed said they do go to church every Sunday. And then a couple of pastors came on and go, yeah, well, they ain't showing up at my place. I'll tell you that. But remember 9/11? Oh my goodness, you couldn't get a seat in a church. After 9/11, the churches just filled up. And it lasted for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And everybody figured, we're safe. We'll go back home. Anyway, I know this isn't about a religion. What do you want to talk about? What do you got?
Well, it like, you know, unless you can never rule out a late rally, especially on an employment day. We did have one effort already.
Yeah, you're right. You know, yesterday, I had mentioned on the show, John, that the Russell was leading to the downside, and then you came on, and you brought that up. The Russell on the daily chart, it hit the 24% Fibonacci retracement yesterday. Right here.
And actually, it's not.
ES hasn't.
It's not plunging today. It's kind of, you know, it's holding in better.
It's waiting for the rest of the gang to catch up, because the Dow is almost there, and the NQ is almost there, and the ES is a whisker away.
That can be a positive, you know, when that happens. So.
Well, I have said that when we get to the 24, that should produce a pretty good bounce. I would think. It's sort of a big picture thing, but this 38.
Well, look, you know, usually on the Monday, you know, this one, you know, we don't know what the news is going to be next week, but the way this 87 thing happens is, you know, I mean, look, it's very bad on that chart we're looking at right now, because the range, you see how the range is expanding as we go lower. That's usually a bad development. And if you look at the other side where we started breaking, I mean, you know, the question is, are we going to get a plunge like some of the left-hand side plunges there? You know, possibly
like this
on Monday, or even a gap down on Monday. Because
I was thinking about Sunday night Globex Open.
Well, you got the China. You know, right now China's closed and Asia's closed. So, you know, come Monday, and Europe's now closed. So come Monday, if the rest of the world doesn't like this number, and they're probably not going to like it, and then they've got all this negative stuff going on in China, the odds of China opening down sharply are pretty high. You might, why don't you put up the FXI there, Dorian, and see what China looks like.
FXI, okay. FXI.
Yeah, look at the gap. Look at the gaps on those. So
yeah, that's pretty dramatic.
Yeah. So, you know, if we can you put up a daily on that?
Sure.
Yeah, it's the odds of China opening lower on Monday are pretty high right now. Although that doji could be a little bit of a ray of hope.
Oh, this one down here.
Yeah, yeah. But and look, the whole China structure. If you go to a weekly on the that chart, it doesn't look very good, does it? You know?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, we put in if you go to monthly on that, you see an even worse picture, really. See that? That doesn't bode well for China at all. I mean, it shows, you know, the peak of the China boom, if you like, was right before the Olympics in Beijing in 2008. Remember, they spent like 50 billion on the thing or something like that, some staggering number, and it was the peak of the whole Chinese miracle, if you like. Now, you know, arguably the Chinese, you know, I'm not buying, even though they keep saying the Chinese economy is growing at 5%, 6%, 7%. If it was, the market would be way higher, just plain and simple. So, you know, the economy has probably been growing pretty much non-stop, but the market's not buying it for whatever reason. You know, and this is, I mean, it's kind of, it's a little bit like Japan. You know, the fact that Trump, you remember when the Japanese were buying Rockefeller Center and all these places in New York back in 1989 and 90, when they were at their peak, everybody thought they were invincible. Right before they fell from 40,000 down to 8. You know, the market got divided by 5. Think about that. The Japanese market got divided by 5, and this market's been, you know, more than cut in half a couple of times. So the pressure that's on China today to maintain this miracle, and the fact that the dream trade that they've had may be coming to an end is a pretty big deal. You know, it's it could mean that we're going to have a down leg, you know, of greater magnitude if this market does reverse, if because nobody can say for sure. I mean, look, you got all these ghost cities and all that's been great because it's provided jobs and momentum in the economy and demand, et cetera, over most of this decade. But if they're not able to fill those cities, and that's a pretty big negative.
That's a huge negative, because those cities require upkeep and maintenance and all kinds of
things. Yeah, and then you've got, and the people who build them, the funders and the construction companies are facing catastrophic losses. That's why the biggest construction companies, dropping the price by 10%. So, and if you remember that when 60 Minutes did that first ghost city, which was back in quite a few years ago now, maybe 5 years ago, you could tell when they interviewed the construction barons, if you like, they were pretty worried at the time. They dodged a bullet, and maybe they're going to dodge another one, because look, if the Chinese continue stimulus, the last round of stimulus is the biggest one they've ever done. It's close to 300 billion. So that's it's certainly helping. It's caused that rally in the market, but now that that could come apart if the FXI continues to drop. So. And the other thing is, there's something they did the other day, a couple of days ago, a report saying that the yuan was going to start dropping. So that'll probably help China if that happens, but they may run into trouble with the US over it, because they supposedly made some pact to avoid that from happening. But it may be inevitable. They may not be able to support their currency if the yuan takes another leg down. It's probably going to drop another 10%. That'll probably the yuan's probably got overpriced. China, the whole country's overpriced. That's why they're losing a lot of the supply chains. The manufacturing plants are moving to Malaysia, Vietnam, possibly even North Korea in time. So they're moving to Cambodia as well, and Thailand. So that's all of these things, and some of them are moving back to the US.
Interesting.
So we are just on the point of overcoming 1300 on the gold, which is pretty impressive. The silver is acting extremely well today, taking back up over 30 cents, and the platinum's not got going yet, and the palladium is still off. Actually, it's lower today, so that's not such a good thing. But this rebound, I think, because of the magnitude of this miss, the upside in the metals could be considerable going forward. It could be the beginning of a, if we get back to 1330 to 1350, this dip will be like a charger. It'll be like a recharger to the upside on gold.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it might actually make the gold market stronger.
I'm still working on that thing you called me about, all right, that I called you about. As soon as I have some kind of word, I'll let you know.
Appreciate it. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
So, well, and look, the stocks in general. I mean, look, there've been some tremendous up moves in stocks this quarter, especially some of the ones we pointed out a while ago, like T-Mobile, Keys, Xilinx, Boeing. Boeing has been, stunning performer, going from low 300s to up to 420 or 30, something like that. Mm-hmm. So it has certainly been impressive. But and look, the big thing is this: there is a risk of a retracement of the entire up move in stocks. But I think the likelihood of the Fed not raising rates now. That's pretty much off the table. But the likelihood of the Fed actually starting to lower rates may contain the downside to those levels we talked about, to the 38%, 24 to 38% pullback. So on the S&P, that is, and the indices in general. And I would keep a real eye on the mid cap and the Russell, because if they start to look like they're going to reverse and go positive, they could lead the market higher. I think the market would get some inspiration from that.
This weekly gold chart is very very bullish.
It really is. Yep. 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 And imagine if you can see what the power of that move, if it were to reverse right back up. You know, it would be like I call them a booster when that happens. You know, a booster buy.
No, it looks good. It really does.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to cover?
No, listen, thanks very much.
Hey, thank you, John.
Have a great weekend to everybody. Look forward to seeing you.
I'll talk to you over the weekend.
Much obliged.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
All
Bye.
right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday, we talked about some people can't be helped. Today, part 2. The rest of the story. Zechariah 7:11. They refused to pay attention. Stubbornly, they turned their backs and covered their ears. You gotta accept it. Some people simply aren't ready to change. No matter how desperately you want them to change, if they're not ready, there'll be no change. They will demand your time and energy, but when you get right down to it, they won't pay the price for progress. We're going to talk about who these people are, but I just want to say this in case someone else out there might be able to identify with it. Our last company, my wife and I had 50 employees. Everyone was fresh out of prison, recovering from alcohol and drugs, chronically homeless. It was quite a list. Now, people would come to me and they would take up my time talking to me, and then they usually needed their rent paid, or the car payment, or they needed a new tire for the car, or babies for the diaper. Not that they didn't make good money working for me, they did. But sometimes, like the United States, people live outside of their means, right? Okay. Well, I was convinced in the beginning. I was very naive, okay, because this was a different kind of company than we'd ever ran before. But I had it in my head that everyone who knocked on my office door, came in and sat down and laid a story on me and had a need, I thought God sent him. I just thought that was how it worked. Like I said, I was naive. I was 37. My wife and I had just returned from 2 decades of debauchery, and we were starting to go to church again. And love God, love people, love life. And they were taking, these people steadily streaming into my office. They were taking up all of my time, and paying all their bills was taking up most of the company's resources and my resources. And I was starting to get a little bit frustrated. And I was talking to God, and I didn't hear the voice of Charlton Heston. But as I was talking to him, I heard, I didn't send that guy. What do you mean? I don't send even half the people that come in your office. What? well, yeah, like, you know, I'm learning to be a good Christian again, and you're my God, and I'm your people, and you want me to help people. That's why you put me in this position, help me create this wonderful company. He goes, well, yeah, that's all true, but I don't send all those people in there. Well, like, who does? He said, think about it. See, here we are doing a good thing. We're doing a good work. We're building God's kingdom. Who doesn't want that to happen? Yeah. The enemy. Slewfoot, whatever you call him. I don't, you know. The devil just brings up, just conjures up this image of horns and a pitchfork and a tail, and we know that's probably not the case, but anyway. And so as I delved deeper into this and prayed about it, and I continued to talk to God and listen, it was suddenly so clear. How could I have been so thick not to see it for what it was in the beginning? Because I had blinders on. I got up every day with this incredible purpose to do God's will. It's never dawned on me that somebody else was trying to get me to do his will. See, these people that were coming in that weren't sent by God, the enemy sent them in to just suck up my time, suck up my resources, so the company would fail, we would become ineffective in ministry, and poof, the enemy doesn't have to worry about us anymore. I don't even know, I can't even put into words what that revelation did for me and to me. Because, let me just say, I was feeling pretty proud of myself for all those people I'd been helping out. Yeah. And we have to be careful with that. God loves a humble man. I learned that early on. So, I go, okay, God. I got it. It's clear as day now. You send people. The enemy sends people. You send people that I should help. And the enemy sends people that are going to, if I let them keep coming, destroy me. Could we get some color-coded name tags or something so I know who's who? And that's when it's really the beginning of me learning to pray in the Spirit. And I don't mean tongues. I just mean, you know, you pray to God. Sometimes you say God. Sometimes you say Jesus. Have you ever wondered why you say what, when, and where? Yeah. See, the Holy Spirit is the one that was sent. Jesus says, I got to go, send the Holy Spirit. He's going to guide you in everything. Knows everything. When people, from that point forward, once I kind of figured this thing out, when people come into my eye, boss, can I talk to you for a minute? Come on, sit down. I wasn't going to turn people away. I was still going to try to speak truth into their life. I probably wasn't going to give them any money, but I needed to speak truth into their life. But my prayer was very simple. As they were coming in and getting situated in the chair across from my desk, I would pray, Holy Spirit, give me wisdom and the words to say. Because I don't have any. See, I had words before when I thought I was supposed to help everybody. But now when it became, you got to discern who God sent and who the enemy sent. I needed the Holy Spirit's help there. Give me wisdom, give me guidance, give me words to say. And now I know this is going to sound funny. It's going to sound like one of those Christianese stories that we hear. You read it in Guideposts. Great book. When people would come in, they say, hey, boss, can I talk to you? Yes. And as they're getting situated, in my mind, I'm just, Holy Spirit, I need your help here. I might talk to them for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. And when they got up to leave, they're like, dude, oh, man, you don't know how much you've helped. You know, this is... And there was no transfer of funds. And you know what I said to him? I'd love to know, because I don't. And I know that sounds crazy. A foolish thing of the world. sometimes I would remember bits and pieces, but I was really allowing the Spirit to speak through me, and there would be times that I would hear stuff coming out of my mouth that was like, whoa, man, that sounded good. Where'd you learn that? I would talk about stuff I didn't even know about. That's, go read the Bible. When he says, I'm going to send a comforter or a counselor, all these things, guide you in all truth and righteousness. He's there for you. The Spirit is there for you today, right now, whatever situation you're in, circumstance, whatever you're dealing with. And you might say, well, I've never heard from that Holy Spirit. Hey, you have. Huh. It's that small, still voice inside of you that's always right, never been wrong. And when you make some foolish mistake, what's the first words out of your mouth? Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. Yeah, oh really? Smart guy? How'd you know? Yeah, good question, right? All right. Some people can't be helped. Who are these people? How do we identify them? They don't have color-coded name tags, by the way. Number one, you can't help somebody who wants to talk but refuses to listen. In the book of James, he speaks about two kinds of people: hearers of the word and doers of the word. James 1:22. Prove yourselves doers of the word and not merely hearers who delude themselves. You see, instead of striving endlessly to meet other people's needs, try to connect them to the one who can. God, boy, that speaks to me. Instead of striving endlessly to meet other people's needs, try to connect them to the one who can. They should be dependent on God, not you. And see, I was doing that also. I was creating this society, this culture of people working for me who, although we had a 30-minute on the clock daily, we called it God's time. After lunch, everybody came back, clocked in, and then we sat in a big circle, the 50 of us, for 30 minutes. And it was good. It was really good. And so even though we were a Christian company with Christian values, they were more dependent on me than they were God, and that's just messed up. You don't want that. They should be dependent on God, not you. My pastor, the one who moved to Africa, and best friend, he said, Dwayne, these people are going to be forever coming to you for a cup of water. I go, well, Jesus said, you know, if you gave even a cup of water to one of these little children, just like he gave it to me. He said, don't make this difficult. I'm like, okay. He's been a pastor for very many years. He said, stop giving them a drink. Take them to the well. Whoa, dude. That was heavy. I was an easy disciple because everything was so poignant to me. Stop giving them a drink. Take them to the well. Now it's between them and God, not them and you. There's so much wisdom in that. Number two, people who don't think you're qualified to help them. I had a few of those too. Jesus wasn't respected in his hometown, yet he was the very person they needed. The whole story's in John 1:11 and 12. We've all heard that, you know, opportunity knocks once or some. Opportunity doesn't always knock. Sometimes it stands by waiting to be recognized. When people are unwilling to accept your help and advice, chances are they may not be ready to grow and deal with their problems. Number three, people who want what you have, but not what you know. These folks want to be rescued, but not instructed. Comforted, but not corrected. And when you keep bailing them out, instead of teaching them how to live, you're really not helping them at all. David said in Psalm 119:71, "It was good for me to be afflicted so that I might learn your decrees." God will put you in check. He loves a humble man. Don't be careful. What did he do to Paul? And we know that he blinded him on the road to Emmaus. But beyond that, Paul had an infirmity that was with him the remainder of his life. And we don't know what it was. Some think it was his eyes. I don't know how these scholars figure some of this stuff out. But Paul was afflicted with an infirmity all of his life. Didn't stop him from writing most of the New Testament, doing all the other stuff he did. But I do believe, whatever the infirmity was, it was God's way of keeping him in check. Because Paul was a pretty important guy. Educated, knew the law. He was a big shot and a Christian killer. God needed to keep him in check. Turned out to be a good guy, right? Number 3. Oh, we just did number 3. In closing. Now, unlike the preacher on Sunday, when he says in closing, you know he's getting into the final 30 minutes of the sermon. Often people have to experience the pain of what's wrong before they can appreciate the wisdom of what's right. So when it comes to helping people, be discerning. You're welcome to try my little tool. Holy Spirit, please give me wisdom and words to say, because I don't have either. Now, it wasn't like smoke filled the room or I'm just telling you, as I was having conversations with these people after that revelation, sometimes in the middle of the conversation, a pearl of wisdom would come out of my lips so great that it actually got my attention too. And I'm like, whoa, where'd you get that? But when it was over and they walked out, they'd be going, man, dude, you're awesome. Thank you. And I'm like, sometimes I look at my secretary, Cindy, sitting over in the corner. I go, what did I say? She would just laugh. She goes, it was good. Don't worry. And you know what? I decided to be okay with that. Think about it. That's our good word for the day. How you doing? All right, it's the weekend. You know what that means. CFRN law dictates that you must spend quality time with your family. Right? Okay. And of course, I'll see you in church on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Mike, got anything you want to say?
Nope. Whoever you are, wherever you are,
may God continue to richly bless you with his mercy and with his grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Sunday night, don't forget to roll your contracts.
Yes, roll them, roll them, roll them.
All right.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.